A very warm welcome to all of learners in the MOOCs of Energy Resources and Convergent Processes. I am Dr. Shweta Tripathi, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering from School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. In our previous modules, we have discussed that which kind of fuel we are going to use. In this module, we are going to discuss the characteristics of fuels. Though there are three types of fuels, solid, liquid and gas, in this particular module, we are going to discuss only solid fuels. The learning outcome of this module is to understand different types of fuels, understand the characteristic of solid fuels and understand the combustion properties of solid fuels and knowledge of ultimate and proximate analysis of fuels. When we consider power generation by power plant industry, fuel may be defined as any material that combines chemically with oxygen and release heat, which is used to convert water into steam. This is our general belief. Energy stored is defined as the fuel. Higher is the concentration of energy stored, better will be the fuel. A fuel necessarily contains one or several of the combustible elements, and these elements are carbon, hydrogen, sulfur, etc. When fuel is burnt, it produces heat. Fuel is burnt when it comes in contact with oxygen or air. This is referred to as combustion. So, the burning of fuel is called combustion, and fuel will be burnt only when it will come into contact of oxygen or air. The most important fuels which are generally used are coal, petroleum, oil and natural gas. These fuels are known as hydrocarbons. How can you utilize the chemical energy of a fuel efficiently? It can be done only if you are able to transform the fuel from solid to liquid or gaseous state, or if you are able to transform the fuel from liquid to gaseous state, or you are able to transform its chemical energy to some other form of energy. So basically, to utilize it efficiently, we need gaseous fuels, and we have to ensure that all of its chemical energy is transformed into another form of energy. There are various ways by which we can classify these fuels. However, two ways which are used widely are: one is on the basis of physical state of existence, which is solid, liquid and gaseous fuels, and second is on the basis of mode of their procurement, natural. If the fuel is naturally available, it is natural fuel, and if it is manufactured by using these fuels, then it is known as manufactured fuel or artificial fuel or secondary fuel. Now let us first discuss the solid fuels and what are their characteristics. Solid fuels are mainly classified into two categories. One is on the basis of their occurrence, which are naturally available, such as wood, coal, etc. These are natural fuels. And the second one is manufactured fuels or artificial fuel or man-made fuel, which are charcoal, coke, briquettes, etc. As we know that these solid fuels are easy to transport, convenient to store, low cost of production and have moderate ignition temperature. Solid fuels have high ash content, burn with clinker formation, and their cost of handling is relatively high. The combustion process is difficult to be controlled and therefore large proportion of heat is wasted. Generally, the wood is the oldest type of fuel which has been used for centuries. Wood is used largely in rural areas, in small towns for cooking purposes and heating applications as well. In some part of the country, wood is also used for industrial applications. The main constituents of different kinds of wood which are used for producing heat are beechwood, birchwood, firwood and pine wood. And these have water content, sugar content and cellular tissue, lignin. This is if we talk about water, it is in the range of 12 to 13%. If we talk about sugar, it is in the range of 1.2 to 4.05. If we talk about cellular tissue, 45.4 to 53.27. If we talk about lignin, which is used for generation of heat, it is from 26.9% to 39% hereabout. The constituents of cellular tissue and lignin of wood which are responsible for the burning or for the combustion are basically depending upon their carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. And if we see that carbon content of cellular tissue, it is about 44.4% and the carbon content of lignin is about 54.58. More is the carbon content, more will be the heating value of the fuel. Hydrogen content for cellular tissue is 6.2 and for lignin it is in between 5.8 to 6.3. Similarly, oxygen content in cellular tissue is 49.4% and oxygen content is 35.39%. If we see the average value of constituent of wood, if we talk about the elements that are there, generally carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen are there and some portion of ash is there. If we talk about average value for the wood, carbon composition is near about 50%, hydrogen is 6%, oxygen is 43.1%, nitrogen is 0.3% and ash content is 0.6%. What is the ash content of wood? The ash consists of mainly potassium carbonate with varying degrees of calcium, magnesium and sodium carbonate, as well as minute quantities of iron oxide, alumina and silk. And lower is the ash content in any of the fuel, better will be the fuel. So we want this ash content to be lower. However, in this wood, the ash content is more. When we go for the liquid fuel or gaseous fuel, this ash content is lower. Moisture content. If we talk about the gas, there is no ash content at all. Then moisture content of wood. The moisture content of wood varies from about 40 to 60%. It strongly depends upon the type of the tree as well as the season of the year. If we want to burn wood directly, what we have to do? We have to dry it. Generally in practice we do open solar drying for reducing this moisture content of wood. Then the characteristics of flame in combustion of wood. The nature of the flame depends mainly upon the tar content of wood. Wood samples containing more tar burn with a thick and bright flame, while some wood samples burn with a dim, transparent flame. The length of the flame also depends on the tar content. Then comes the combustion characteristics. You must have observed that lighter wood burns more intensely with long flames as compared to thick wood. The reason is simple. In case of lighter wood, air penetrates easily throughout the whole piece during combustion. On the contrary, in case of heavy wood, The penetration of air is rather difficult and a concentrated flame results with the development of more heat at the point of burning. If we talk about the ignition temperature, wood ignites very easily. The average ignition temperature of different kind of wood, if we talk about pine, ignition temperature is 295 degrees centigrade. If we talk about oak, it is 287 degrees centigrade. If we talk about larch, it is 290 degrees centigrade. If we talk about fir, it is 292 degrees centigrade. So likewise, all are in the similar range. The calorific value is the total energy released as heat when a substance undergoes complete combustion with oxygen under standard conditions. The heating value or energy value or calorific value of a substance, usually a fuel or food, is the amount of heat released during the combustion of a specified amount of it. The lower heating value, which is also known as net calorific value, these are of two types actually, lower heating value and higher heating value. So when we talk about lower heating value, it is also known as net calorific value, and it is defined as the amount of heat released by combusting a specified quantity. Initially, the temperature will be at 25 degrees centigrade and returning the temperature of the combustion products to 150 degrees centigrade, which assumes the latent heat of vaporization of water in the reaction products is not recovered. So this value is lower heating value or net calorific value. Then the higher heating value, which is also known as gross calorific value or gross energy of a fuel, and is defined as the amount of heat released by a specific quantity, similar as in case of lower heating value. Initially the temperature is at 25 degrees centigrade. Once if it is combusted and the products have returned to a temperature of 25 degrees centigrade in this case, which takes into account the latent heat of vaporization of water in the combustion products. Now the second solid fuel we are going to discuss is coal, and we all know that it is one of the widely used solid fuels in all major industries and power stations. Most of the Indian coal is of low grade variety, and the coal consumptions, if we talk about different economic sectors, we can say that 40% of the coal is used in thermal power station and 30% is used in industry like SAIL. The industries producing steel is using coal widely, and 30% is used in our railway. Coal has basically three substances distributed throughout its mass. One is coal substance, second is mineral matter, and third is moisture. This coal consists of many organic compounds of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen derived from the original vegetable matter. The moisture content of coal, often we call it mechanical moisture, means water retained by the coal. The coal properties are determined by two processes. One is proximate analysis and another is ultimate analysis. Proximate analysis is used for determining heating value of coal, and ultimate analysis is used for determining chemical composition of coal. The proximate analysis of coal is carried out to determine heating and burning properties of coal, and the proximate analysis determines the percentage by weight of moisture, volatile matter, ash and fixed carbon. And if we talk about this coal, the moisture content is about 3 to 30%, volatile matter is 3 to 50%, ash is 2 to 30%, fixed carbon is from 16 to 92%. Depending upon this composition, coal is classified. We will discuss it. What do moisture do here? All varieties of coal contain some moisture. More is the moisture content, less will be the combustion efficiency, or less combustible will be the fuel. Then comes the volatile matter. It is that part which is driven off as a gas when the coal is heated, such as that discharged from a beehive type coke oven. Then comes the fixed carbon and ash. In above process, coke is left and is composed of fixed carbon and ash. The sum of carbon in the volatile matter and the fixed carbon gives the total carbon. This total carbon together with the percentage by weight of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur and ash gives the proximate analysis. Volatile matter in coal largely governs the combustion, which in turn governs the design of grade and combustion quality. Ultimate analysis of coal. In ultimate analysis of coal, it is used to find more precisely the chemical composition of coal like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur and ash. The variation of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur and ash by weight for most of the coal is in the range of carbon is 50 to 95%, hydrogen is 2.5 to 5%, oxygen is 2 to 4%, sulfur is 0.5 to 7%, nitrogen is 0.5 to 3% and ash is 2 to 30%. Then comes the classification of coal. There exist a number of methods for classifying coal and are based on its rank, grade and size and source from where we are getting coal. Coal is also classified based on the various products of the metamorphosis of the original vegetable matter of which the coal is the final product. The coal is thus named as peat, lignite, bituminous, semi-bituminous, semi-anthracite and anthracite. Anthracite coal is fully transformed coal and peat is first stage of the transformation. Other varieties like bituminous, semi-bituminous, semi-anthracite, lignite, these are the intermediate stages of the transformation. Let us talk about the peat. In peat, the moisture content is about 90.3%, fixed carbon is 3%, volatile matter is 5% and ash is 1.6%. If we talk about proximate analysis, the carbon content is 58%, oxygen is 35%, hydrogen is 6% and nitrogen is 1%. Some characteristics of this peat are fibrous sticking material, it is brown in color, it is highly moist, we are seeing that moisture content is 90.3%, it burns freely. Then comes the characteristics of lignite. It is an intermediate stage between peat and bituminous coal. It is brown or black in color, exhibits distinctly woody structure. When mined, moisture content varies from about 30 to 40% and when air dried, moisture content varies from about 15 to 20%. Ash content is about 4 to 6% and ash-free lignite has 60 to 75% of carbon and 20 to 35% of oxygen. Average density varies between 641 kg per meter cube to 1282 kg per meter cube and the volatile matter is about 50% and sometimes in equal ratio with carbon. Calorific value on a dry oxygen free basis varies from 5000 to 6112 kilocalorie per kg. A well dried lignite can be used as pulverized fuel and raw lignite after being dried to moisture content of about 15% may be briquetted for industrial and household use. Then comes the characteristics of subbituminous coal. Now the characteristics of subbituminous coal. Similar to lignite except in terms of moisture content. Moisture content is about half of that of the lignite, low ash content as compared to lignite, and useful in the form of briquettes or pulverized state. Then comes the characteristics of the bituminous coal. It is very popular and it is all-purpose fuel. It is mostly used for steam generation. It is different from the lower grade coal in its ability to resist slacking. Ratio of volatile matter to fixed carbon is about the same as in subbituminous or lignite. Ash content varies from 6 to 12%. Then the characteristics of semi-bituminous coal. It is intermediate between anthracite and bituminous coal in properties, used for steam raising on grate or in pulverized form. The moisture content is very low, low percentage of moisture, ash and sulfur are also low. Carbon content ranges in between 90 to 93%. Volatile matter is between 10 to 20% and oxygen is in between 2 to 4%. Then comes the characteristics of anthracite, end product of the metamorphosis of original vegetable material. It is ranked highest among coals with high commercial value and it has more than 92% carbon. Volatile material is below 8%. Ash is lower than that of bituminous coal. It is hard and lustrous and has high density. It burns only at high temperature with little or no flame and does not fuse or soften. Pulverization is difficult and expensive for these coals. It is best used on grate with forced draft for production of steam in power plants. These were the original solid fuels or primary solid fuels, natural primary fuels, wood and coal. The other solid fuels are manufactured. They are manufactured either by wood or by coal or by other natural fuels. These are charcoal, coke, briquettes, etc. Let's discuss charcoal first. What is charcoal? Charcoal is a product derived from destructive distillation of wood being left in the shape of solid residue. The charcoal is widely preferred fuel in our country. It is used not only for industrial application but also for cooking purposes. Charcoal burns rapidly with a clear flame, producing no smoke and developing heat of about 6050 calories per kg. Then comes the coke. It is obtained from destructive distillation of coal being left in shape of solid residue. There are two categories of coke. One is soft coke, another is hard coke. Soft coke is obtained as a solid residue from the destructive distillation of coal in the temperature range of 600 to 650 degrees centigrade. It consists 5 to 10% volatile matter. It burns without smoke. It is extensively used as a domestic fuel. Then comes the hard coke. Hard coke is obtained as solid residue from the destructive distillation of coal in the temperature range of 1200 to 1400 degrees centigrade. It burns with smoke and is a useful fuel for metallurgical processes. Then comes the briquettes and their characteristics. What is briquettes? The briquettes is usually defined as the dust, scum, slag and other small size waste remains of lignite, peat, coke, etc. and are compressed into different shapes of regular form with or without use of binder. The good quality briquettes should be quite hard and as little fragile as possible. They must withstand the hazards of weather and must be suitable for storing and handling. Then comes the bagasse. Bagasse is referred to as the residue of sugar cane which is left as waste in the sugar mill after extraction of sugar juice. These bagasses are nowadays used for production of ethanol also. It is a fibrous fuel which can be compared to wood. It contains 35 to 45% fiber, 7 to 10% sucrose and other combustible constituents, 45 to 55% moisture, and possesses an average calorific value of 2200 calorie per kg. The average composition of bagasse is carbon 45%, hydrogen 6%, oxygen 46% and ash 3%. If dried properly, it is a quick burning fuel with good efficiency. Usually, bagasse is dried in open sun after spreading it in the open field. Now, with the energy conservation culture getting momentum, waste flue gases are being used in dryers to reduce the moisture of bagasse. However, we have discussed that liquid fuels give better combustion efficiency than solid fuel, so it is better to convert them into liquid fuel to get more efficiency. The characteristics of liquid fuels we will be discussing in our next module. Now let us summarize whatever we have discussed today. We have discussed that fuels are classified either as natural fuels or as manufactured fuels. Natural fuels are wood, coal, etc. and the manufactured fuels are charcoal, briquettes, bagasse, etc. We have also discussed that fuels are also classified according to the physical state in which they exist, such as solid, liquid and gaseous fuel. We have discussed the properties of solid fuels such as calorific value. We have also discussed the proximate analysis and ultimate analysis, the components or the constituents that we are going to find out by the proximate analysis and ultimate analysis. We have discussed them also. Thank you very much.